the lady. In It, everyone remembers Pennywise showing up in several iconic moments. But there's a much more subtle, and because of that, way more disturbing, moment that most people only notice later. It happens when Ben is just chilling, researching Derry's past in the library, trying to understand why the town seems to have such a bizarre history of tragedies. While he flips through the books, focused on the old photos, something strange starts happening in the background of the scene. The librarian, who at first just seems like a nice old lady organizing books, slowly turns her face toward him, very slowly, as if she were drawn by something only she could feel. And then comes the chilling detail. She just stands there, staring at Ben with a weird smile completely out of place. The craziest part is that she never comes into focus. The movie doesn't highlight her, doesn't zoom in, doesn't throw in a jump scare sound. She's just there, smiling. And that makes everything 1,000 times more uncomfortable. When Ben turns the page, she's suddenly just looking at something on the shelf, as if nothing had happened. The Follower. The ending of It Follows is one of those that sticks in your head and just stays there, following you, literally. After all the chaos Jay and Paul go through trying to escape that entity that walks slowly but never stops, the movie throws us into a suspicious calm. The curse is theoretically passed on when Paul looks for a sex worker in a kind of desperate attempt to break the cycle. Everything seems resolved, or at least that's what they try to believe. The scene shows the couple walking through a quiet neighborhood, talking softly like they're finally taking a deep breath for the first time. But then, way in the back of the frame, a figure appears, really small, really distant. The person walks at the same pace as them, not rushing, not stopping, like they're simply following. The big trick, or curse, is that the movie doesn't give anything away. It doesn't show the face. It doesn't highlight the silhouette. It doesn't explain who it is. It could just be someone going to buy some bread, or it could be the entity coming back to collect the supernatural debt. Look at the ceiling. Hereditary has a special talent for messing with your head. I still remember this scene. It's without a doubt one of the scariest I've ever watched. In the climax, after all the chaos, when Annie accidentally sets Steve on fire and is taken over by something clearly evil, the house goes completely silent. It's in that silence that Peter wakes up, still shaken, with no idea what he's about to see. And then it's up to us to notice a tiny detail. Way up in the corner, blended into the shadow, Annie is on the ceiling, just standing there, watching, not blinking, not drawing attention. Right after that, Peter goes downstairs and finds his father's burned body on the floor, but the worst is still to come. Up above, there she is again, his mother, but now it's much easier to see. Peter looks to the side and sees a random naked man with a creepy smile. Suddenly, Annie disappears. This is the kind of scene you only catch when your eyes land on the exact right spot. The movie doesn't shift focus. It just leaves Annie there like a creature waiting in ambush, waiting for the right moment to move. The truck. Jeepers Creepers may not have been a critic favorite, but the beginning of the movie catches everyone off guard. The scene starts with Trish and Derry driving home for the holidays, calmly going down a deserted road, the kind that already gives a weird vibe just for being way too empty. Way in the back of the frame, almost imperceptible, a blur appears. Nothing very defined, just a metallic smudge like a car too far away to matter. But as their car keeps going down the road, the blur starts to take shape. Suddenly it's not a blur anymore. It's an old, rusty, massive truck taking up the road like a hungry predator. And when it gets close enough, the sound takes over everything. A deafening, aggressive horn, like it's announcing that the hunt has begun. The truck starts tailing Trish and Derry aggressively, almost forcing their car off the road. There's no monster yet, no effects, no supernatural appearance. Just pure mechanical threat getting closer and closer. Ghost in the Window. Lake Mungo is that kind of horror movie that doesn't need loud noises, jump scares, or a monster popping out of nowhere. It prefers to haunt you slowly. The whole story revolves around Alice, a girl who drowned, and whose spirit apparently tries to make contact with her family. After a lot of investigating, scares, and attempts to understand what's going on, the parents reach the conclusion that Alice has finally moved on. Total relief, right? Not really. When the family decides to move and the movie seems to be heading toward a calm ending, the last photo appears. A simple image of the empty house, everything quiet, until you notice the window. And there she is, Alice, pale, alone, looking out with a sad expression, almost begging not to be left behind. But the movie doesn't stop there. During the credits, images start popping up, showing several moments when Alice had already been in the background of other scenes, watching, following, trying to communicate, and the worst part, we didn't notice. Nobody noticed. Camouflaged hand. In Signs, M. Night Shyamalan proves you don't need loud noise to cause pure fear. Near the end of the movie, when the alien invasion has officially started, the Hess family locks themselves in the basement, trying to survive the craziest night of their lives. Graham and Meryl are trying to keep it together when they notice Morgan standing next to a metal grate in the corner of the basement. The two stare at him like they already sense something is wrong. Morgan asks, "What?" An alien hand moves between the bars of the grate, and the scariest detail? It had been there the whole time. The first time you watch it, almost nobody notices the hand before it moves. But when you rewatch it, it's there, still, hidden. Flash face. The Exorcist is already scary by nature, but there's one particular scene that really messes with anyone's mind. The focus here isn't the possession itself, but Father Karras's inner torment. The guy is emotionally destroyed, carrying a huge load of guilt over his mother's death, and it's exactly in those vulnerable moments that the movie hits its most psychological kind of horror. During one of his most disturbing dreams, Karras sees his mother coming out of a subway station in that dead gray nightmare tone. He tries to call out to her, but no sound comes out. Everything feels muffled, kind of slow. The mother looks at him with a distant, almost sad expression and starts walking away. When Karras finally gathers the strength to run to her, the movie lands a genius visual punch, a flash, quick, white, almost imperceptible. And in the middle of that split second, the demonic face appears. That horrid white mask, black eyes, sinister smile, the demon Pazuzu staring straight into his conscience. It's so fast that most people aren't even sure what they just saw. Secret Fall. Cloverfield is that kind of movie that makes you paranoid about every shadow and every sound. The movie ends with Rob and Beth, long before all the chaos, enjoying a calm day on a Ferris wheel by the beach. A light, cute scene. The shaky camera shows them goofing around, talking, living a piece you already know won't last long. Except if you look really closely, and it really has to be close. Way in the back, tiny, almost invisible, something falls from the sky. And it's not a bird or a plane. It's a satellite crashing down into the ocean. The object barely shows up, just a tiny dot crossing the sky like a glitch in the recording. But it's the Chimpanzee 3, a satellite that ended up falling and has a serious impact on the story. It was through it that later on the monster was awakened and started all the chaos. Before we see how a mistake made a movie even scarier, don't forget to drop your like and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. The wrong shadow in the ring. The vibe is already heavy by nature. Rachel Keller is freaking out, trying to save her son Aiden after the kid decided to watch the cursed tape. That's exactly when one of the most curious and accidentally scary scenes happens. Rachel is leaving her sister's apartment, focused on getting Aiden out of there as fast as possible. The camera follows the movement. Everything normal. Until in the back of the lobby, a figure appears standing still. A dark shape as if it were watching Rachel and Noah a little too closely. The detail? That wasn't a ghost, wasn't a spirit, wasn't Samara planning another attack. It was a crew member who just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time and ended up becoming a bonus ghost in the film. Creepy dolls. Scream is full of clues scattered like breadcrumbs, and Wes Craven loved hiding details. And there's one specific scene near the end that makes everything even weirder. When Sydney is running through the total chaos inside Stu's house, she ends up entering a room no one would ever imagine existed there. And seriously, what even is that room? The place is full of hanging dolls. It's almost like a visual warning that something is very wrong with that house, and with its owner. But the detail that really hits is one specific doll. One of them looks a lot like one of Ghostface's first victims, Casey Becker. The hair, the light-colored outfit, even the way it's tied up, everything directly references the opening scene when Casey is left hanging from a tree in one of the movie's most iconic moments. And then it clicks. That's not decoration. It's not random. That is a trophy. A reminder that Stu and Billy were enjoying the carnage way more than they admitted. It's the kind of detail you miss the first time, but when you catch it, the scene becomes so much more disturbing. Alien Shadow. In Alien, everything revolves around darkness and silence. And in this director's cut scene, the terror doesn't arrive screaming. It was already there the whole time. It all begins when Brett, the chillest tech on the ship, decides to make the biggest mistake possible in a space horror movie. Go out alone to look for the cat. Yes, Jones. He enters a section full of hanging chains, steam coming out of the walls, and that mechanical noise that already makes anyone nervous. And we, watching from this side of the screen, also notice something strange. A kind of organic shape blended into the set, so still it looks like part of the structure. Brett looks up, looks to the side, calls the cat, and nothing. The cat refuses to go, sensing that something is wrong. And then comes the genius detail. The xenomorph is there the entire time. In full adult form, huge, hidden among the chains like a creature made of shadows and metal. When you finally recognize its silhouette, it's already too late. It drops down with that movement that's smooth and disgusting at the same time, and that's it. Brett is killed. It's one of those scenes you have to rewatch to notice it was already there. Shadow Driver. If there's one thing Halloween does well, it's making you feel watched even when nothing big is happening on screen, especially with that incredible John Carpenter soundtrack. It all starts when Dr. Loomis is talking with Sheriff Brackett about the infamous patient who just escaped. The mood is already tense. Then it happens. Way in the back of the frame, almost begging to be ignored, a beige car approaches. Nothing unusual, right? Wrong. The car drives right past Loomis. Here's the fun in the subtlety. If you narrow your eyes or look with hawk-level attention, you can see Michael Myers' white mask staring, quiet, calculating, from behind the wheel. It's the kind of appearance that doesn't jump at you, and the best part, Loomis doesn't see it. We see it, Michael sees it, but the only guy who could have done something doesn't notice a thing. The hidden devil. Now let's talk about a movie packed with background appearances, and when you watch it paying attention, everything gets even scarier. Longlegs became famous not only for its disturbing atmosphere and Nicolas Cage's bizarre performance, but also for the details hidden in the background, especially the subtle appearances of the devil, the shadowy horned figure that shows up several times. The first confirmed appearance happens around the 16-minute mark. Harker is analyzing photographs spread across the floor when the camera widens to a full shot. On the left side of the frame, the devil appears as a dark silhouette with goat-like horns.
When she's sleeping, it's the best time to do it.
The figure appears for a brief moment and vanishes, but nothing is thrown in the audience's face, and only those paying attention notice. Since the scene focuses on Harker's psychic abilities, the choice seems to reinforce that she can sense things others ignore. The next appearance happens around the 24-minute mark, when Harker gets home and looks toward the forest. Nothing visible appears, but the soundtrack hints that something is off. Later, when she investigates a knock on the door, which foreshadows the reveal about her mother's crimes, we can see Longlegs' shadow among the trees. But the detail is behind him. The devil is there too, disappearing as the shot moves. At 31 minutes, while Harker studies the cipher and begins to understand the pattern involving birthdays, the devil appears again briefly in the doorframe. This moment was identified by a social media user, and it's one of the hardest to notice. At 37 minutes, the presence returns in a wide shot showing a window. Outside, the fog forms the outline of the demon's silhouette. After that, the devil only appears again almost 20 minutes later. Longlegs is sitting in his basement. The focus is on him until the camera cuts to the end of the room, where the horned figure stands watching. Unlike other subtle details, this one does jump scare you when you finally notice it. Around the 1 hour mark, when Lee visits the mother's house, she stops in the kitchen staring at the bottom part of the door. In the window above, the devil's face is reflected, watching her. Soon after, we get one of the hardest appearances to see. When the younger Lee is rummaging through a chest, there's a dark door to the left. With the brightness raised, the creature's horns appear clearly before vanishing back into the shadows. Later, when Harker and Browning go to Lee's mother's house, there's a doll in the room that hints at the twist that's about to happen. Lee's mother appears behind Browning in the car, but she isn't the only figure present. After we hear a gunshot, the devil appears again, behind a glass pane. Next, while we see a young Lee listening to a story, the shadow behind her slowly takes shape, another direct presence of the demonic being. There are also small details like smoke rising from Lee's head after the gunshot on the doll, and the doll's eyes themselves, elements that reinforce symbols of evil influence in the house. When Lee goes to Agent Carter's house, he invites her in, and in a very subtle moment, the devil appears reflected in the glass door, symbolizing that he is getting closer to his next targets. The possible 11th appearance is more debated, a figure that resembles a tree, but with branches that look like horns. There's no confirmation, but many believe it's yet another manifestation of the creature. And do you remember any other scene that should have been in this video? If you do, comment it so we can make part 2. On the screen is a video where we show the scariest jump scares in horror movies. Click and watch. See you there.